number 2 on this Throwback Thursday video for you. I started my video, and yeah, as I pulled out the pieces for my very first card, I couldn't find one piece that I had die cut. So yeah, so I had to kind of start over again. So let me just kind of fix this really quick so we're straight and we're not all wonky. Hopefully everything looks good. I'll bring this up just a tiny bit. Oh, goodness. Goodness. Yeah, I had everything, all my pieces, all in its little cellophane envelope. And I went and started, and turned out I was missing a piece. So take two. I mean, you're never seeing like the first part that I already deleted. So again, take two. So welcome everybody to the studio. This is Carla, and welcome to another episode of Throwback Thursday. So for this week's Throwback Thursday, I am using the Bright Skies bundle. So every Thursday when I do my Throwback Thursday, I'm basically pulling out my retired stash and I'm using it. So it could be a standalone stamp set, it could be a bundle like this, or it can actually be a whole suite. So last week I did the perennial lavender. It's actually a mega suite because it has 2 stamp and die bundles to it. And what I do is I create 2 cards using the product, and it gives you a little bit of inspiration. If you happen to have the product, it gives you some inspiration to kind of pull it out and give it some new life and play with it again. So I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of retired stuff. So in some instances, it's the first time that I'm putting ink to the stamp sets, and that's the case with this one here. This particular bundle was in our last our last annual catalog. And so it recently retired, so I was a little bit late in getting this. So I basically purchased this before it was gone forever. And I think when I got this, both the stamp set and the set of dies individually were discounted. So I love everything about the weather. I guess you can say I'm a weather nerd. And so this was definitely a bundle that I did want to get. The stamp set, as you can see, has some stamped images in it. Plus, it also has these sentiments in here that has the 2 different fonts on it. And then the set of dies, what's nice about it, there are 4 different shaped clouds, and each one of them have some stitching on it. You do have the dies that will die cut some of the stamped images, along with, let's see, you have some raindrops. So you have your larger ones and your smaller ones. You have 2 different lightning bolts in this. So a very cool set of dies. So now let me bring in the pieces for the first card. And on the first card, I actually already started with gluing the designer series paper down on it. So for my card base, this is Pool Party 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. Already attached to this is a 5.5 by 2-inch piece of Sunny Days designer series paper. This is the paper right here. This paper was actually celebration paper. This was January, I think it was just January and February of 2024. This is also the same year that the Bright Skies bundle, that was in that January to April mini catalog. So some of the patterns in here do kind of coordinate in a way and go with the bundle that we are using for this episode. So in this paper, you do have basic black, crushed curry, petal pink, Pool Party, Poppy Parade, and Shaded Spruce. So again, this is a 5.5 by 2-inch piece. that I already glued down. So this is kind of like where I stopped on the first try. And then that's when I realized I was missing a die cut piece that I had done, and I actually found it on the floor. So I'm going to set that aside. In addition, I have a piece of basic gray cardstock that measures 4 by 3 1/4. I have a piece of basic white that measures 3 3/4 by 3. And then out of scrap pieces of cardstock, out of Daffodil Delight, I die cut the sun, and then there is this stitch circle that will fit perfectly within that sun, and I die cut that out of crushed curry. And then out of that same pack of designer series paper, I die cut this one of the stitched clouds. So that's actually the back of that cherry paper. So let me get the stamps that we're going to use for this. So I'm going to do a little flower. And then there's this one stamp that has what looks like raindrops. I want the greeting that says sprinkled with love. And I think that's all we need for this one. So let me get my blocks. It's kind of been a crazy week because normally what I usually do with my Throwback Thursdays, I try to have it recorded in advance and have it post at 5 a.m. Central on Thursday mornings. However, the week's been kind of crazy, so this is actually Thursday evening that I am recording this. So basically, as soon as I'm done with this, it's going to be posted immediately. So, all right. So with this being a photopolymer stamp set, to get a good stamped image, I'm going to bring in my foam piercing mat. This is going to give a little bit of cushion when I go to stamp my images. So let me move this out of the way and get my piece of basic white. And the colors that I am going to use are Pool Party, Daffodil Delight, Lemon Lime Twist, and Basic Gray. All right, so I'm going to start off with my flower. So I'm going to do the leaf part or the stem part. And I'm going to stamp this 3 times along the bottom here. And we'll do one here. And then one right in the middle. Okay, and then we're going to get our Daffodil Delight. And we'll do our flower. So we're on this, stamping this, I'm basically starting from the bottom and working my way up towards the top. And then we're going to take our flowers. And what's nice with this being photopolymer, I can see exactly where I'm stamping it. So perfectly right over the top of that stem. Okay. Then I'm going to take my basic gray and my greeting that says sprinkled with love. Make this up really well. And then I'm going to stamp this, let's see, right over here. Like so. And then let's bring in Pool Party. And I'm going to do my raindrops. So I'm going to take this and stamp this right over here. I'm going to overlap my greeting a little bit. Okay, and then that's all the stamping that we're going to do for this card. So I'm going to take this piece and bring in my seal, add some adhesive, and then I'll put that on my basic gray layer. Let's just center that on there like so. Okay, and then I'm going to take my sun here and add some adhesive to the back of this crushed curry circle. And we'll center that on our Daffodil Delight sun. Move that down so it's kind of centered. Okay, and press that down really good. And then I'm going to add some more adhesive to the back of this. Okay, and then my cloud, I'm going to add some, where's my dimensionals? I'm going to add 2 on the back of my cloud. Okay, and then I want to place my cloud probably right about here, but then I want to tuck my sun kind of like right behind it a little bit. So I'm going to place that down. And then my cloud will go right over here like so. Now let me bring in my card base, and we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of this panel. Okay, and then this, I'm going to place this at an angle like so. Okay, so then for my embellishments, I'm going to bring in, these are retired. This is the Fine Sparkle Adhesive Back Gems. So the colors, I think, in, whoops, there's one that popped off. So in this set, I think this color here is Sweet Sorbet, and this may be Pale Papaya, and Balmy Blue, and Pool Party. So I am going to take 2 of the small Pool Party ones, and I'm going to add them right here where my raindrops are. And then these smaller Sweet Sorbet ones, I'm going to add these to the centers of these 3 flowers. There we go. There is our first card. Very, 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 very cute. I don't have anything on the inside on this one, but very cute. All right, so now let's bring in stuff for our second one. So like I mentioned, I think I mentioned it, maybe I mentioned it in the first one, I am kind of a weather nerd, so this particular card just definitely feels like this would be your weather nerd type of card, because it kind of has, we're recreating some of the symbols that you would usually see in regards to the, you know, like the weather and the weather forecast. So my my card base, this is basic white thick, measuring 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece of basic black that measures 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Then added some scraps out of a scrap of cloud cover. So cloud cover is one of our new in colors. I had die cut 4 squares. This comes from the Stylish Shape. So It is, I believe it's this second smallest one that I have used, or the size of it, if you don't have the dies, is 1.5. So these are each like 1.5 inch squares. Then out of scrap piece of basic white, I had die cut 3 of those clouds, just like the cloud that I used in the other card. Daffodil Delight for the sun, and then 2 of those stitched circles, die cut 2 of those, excuse me, out of Daffodil Delight. That large, wow, why am I sounding like this? Excuse me. The larger lightning bolt, Daffodil Delight. And then, like I mentioned, there's 2 dies, one that die cuts larger raindrops, and then one that does smaller, so I die cut 3 of the larger ones. So let me start by folding and burnishing my card base. And do that. We'll kind of set that aside for a moment. Let me bring in, nope, don't need that yet. Nope, 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 don't need that. But let me bring in my silicone craft sheet. And I'm going to assemble my little square pieces here. So we're kind of doing stages of the weather. So kind of like, starting to go bad and then eventually, becoming clear and sunny. So I am going to take one of these circles, which is going to be my sun, and I'm going to place that right up here in the upper left hand corner. Then I'm going to grab one of my clouds, add some adhesive to this, and then we'll layer this right here. So our sun is starting to get covered by our cloud. Okay, we'll set that aside because what we're going to do, we're going to trim off the excess that's hanging over the edge of our cloud cover square. Okay, so then on our next one, we're going to add one of our clouds. And we'll place this right up here like so. And then I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. And we're going to add our raindrops to this one. So I want the putty end of my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to add 3 drops of glue right there underneath our cloud. And then I'm going to pick up my raindrops and I'm going to place them down at an angle. So these kind of mimic those weather icons that you would have if you look in your phone where you have those little emojis, that this kind of mimics that. So we have our raindrops. Okay, and again, we're going to trim that excess cloud that's over the edge of our piece. Then on this particular one, we're going to add our sun. This one won't have any clouds on it. And we'll center that like so. And get our little circle. And we'll center that. Okay, nothing we have to trim on this one. And then our last one, we want to add our cloud. And we'll place this one right about here. And then our lightning bolt, I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. Add a little bit. And then our lightning bolt is going to go, we can get that to not move. We're going to add our lightning bolt right here. Okay, so there are our 4 pieces. So we have our sun starting to hide behind the clouds. Then we have our rain. Then we have our thunderstorm. And then in the end, we have our sunny sky. So let me bring in my little guillotine paper trimmer. This trimmer was part of a celebration offering many years ago. And so what I want to do is I want to trim the excess on these clouds. So I want to bring the arm of my cutter down. I'm going to take my little square here and I'm going to butt that right along the top and along the edge right up against this arm here. Hold it down, trim it, and then it's perfect. I mean, you can do the same thing with your scissors, but I like to do it this way. So kind of bring the arm down a little bit so I can put that flush up against it and trim it, and now it's like it's perfectly flush with that square. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Bring it down just a little bit. Kind of butt it up against it. And trim. Okay, and then our last side. Okay, so there we go on that one. And then our last one. The square is a little small, so I'm trying to line it up. Okay, there we go. So we have those 4 pieces all set up. Let me get rid of my little trim pieces here. Okay, now let me bring in my piece of basic black. I'm going to bring in my glue and I'm going to start layering my square. So there's going to be a little bit of a border around the outer edge and also in between all 4 of these squares. I'm going to place this down like so. And then let's get our cloud with our rain. And then this will go right about here. Okay, then we have our cloud and our lightning bolt. This will go right down here. Okay. I've always been looking forward to doing like a rainy type of scene because we do have a few stamp sets or bundles that do have like a theme of rain to it. So recently we had a bundle that was an online exclusive that that kind of retired not all that long ago called Umbrella Days. And cloud cover just is a perfect color of cardstock to do like that rainy, cloudy type of sky. So it's a perfect color. All right, so now I'm going to take this piece. Now I'm going to pop this up on my card. But before I do that, I want to stamp my greeting directly onto my card base. So let me get my piercing mat to put it under here to give a little bit of cushion. Plus, not only that, it helps me in kind of lining everything up. So I want my card base straight. I want to kind of line up where I want to put this panel here. Then I want the stamp that says brighter skies are on their way. And for this one, I'm going to stamp this in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Now, this, again, I've mentioned this numerous times before. Our white craft ink, when you purchase this, the ink pad is uninked, and then you get a white re-inker to ink it up. So what I have done, I've taken a re-inker of the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I've inked up this ink pad. Now, the regular packaging for Memento is on a felt pad, and this thing is freaking out. Hold on. It's kind of bouncing in and out. I want it to stop doing that. I don't know why it's doing that. Hold on. Okay, I don't like when it's doing that. I don't know how long it's been doing that for, because I've been kind of paying attention. Maybe it was just a little too close. Well, the difference is, like I was saying, Memento Tuxedo Black ink, its regular packaging is on a felt pad. And usually when you stamp your Memento, it doesn't give you that really dark, crisp black image when you stamp it. Usually the StazOn jet black ink will do that. But since inking up a foam pad and inking up my stamp, I find that it just stamps so much better. And so I'm going to take my greeting. I'm going to stamp that right under, off to the right hand side where that panel is. And then I'm just going to pop this up then right onto my card base. Right, let me get this out of the way. And let's get my dimensionals. This is definitely a fun card. This would be the perfect card for your weather enthusiasts. Okay, take those all off. And then we're going to pop this up. Make sure that's kind of lined up. And then I'm just going to kind of center this from the left, right, and the top. Place that down like so. And then for my embellishments on this card, I'm going to bring in, these are the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. So all of my current carded embellishments I have in these passport holders. Hold on one second. Just wanted a couple of sips of water. Also, my throat was starting to get a little dry. So I did get these passport holders off of Amazon, and the carded embellishments just fit so nicely in there, and you can fit like a couple of packages of the embellishments in this one folder, so it's really nice. So in these embellishments, these are our newest in colors: Strawberry Slush, which is actually a returning in color, Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Cloud Cover, and wow, that's kind of cut off a little bit. And this is Secret Sea. So the colors are a little bit lighter, but there's also like an iridescent pearl effect that's on these. And there's three different sizes. So I'm going to bring in Cloud Cover, and I'm going to add one of each of these like so. And there we go. There is our second card. I think that came out so cool. So really, we're just mimicking those the weather emojis that you find on your cell phone. I think that's really cute. So let me bring in the first one. So we did this one here with the pool party and with our Daffodil Delight and crushed curry and then a little bit of our green. So really cute little sprinkled with love card. And then of course the card that we just did, recreating our little weather emojis. Perfect cards for your fellow weather nerds. So thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by and watching. If you like the projects that I made in this video, please give the video a thumbs up. And also, if you like the video, and I also have many other videos out here on my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel and then click on the little notification bell. It'll let you know when I go live and also when I upload a pre-recorded video. So this is my Throwback Thursday. Tomorrow I will be doing a Friday Night Live at 7 p.m. For that live, I will be featuring the beautiful gallery. It's a mega suite of product that is in our current annual catalog. So a very vintage and fun suite of products. So hope that you can join us live. And if you can't, there's always the replay. So what I do in my lives, I create three cards, and then at the end, I do a drawing for where you can win one of those three cards that I create. And so anything else I want to add to that? So we would love to have you come join us. I will be doing at some point, probably not this coming Saturday, the 16th, but Saturday, the 23rd. I haven't determined exactly what time of the day on that Saturday, but I will have my holiday pre-order from the new holiday mini catalog and also the online exclusives, both that will become available to everyone on September 3rd, I believe. And so I'm going to be doing my haul. So I do have a good stash of stuff, so I will be showing that on Saturday the 23rd. And again, I still have to determine exactly what time of the day, whether it be morning, afternoon, evening, on when I'm going to do that. But it usually, like last year, I did do it before I started my Friday Night Live. However, because my Friday Night Lives tend to go maybe possibly almost 2 hours altogether, it would just make it even longer. So I decided that that particular video will end up taking a little bit. So I decided I was going to give it its live all on its own. So stay tuned on that. I will, I may have probably a better idea as to exactly when I want to do it tomorrow night. And of course, I will have it posted, as an upcoming video on my YouTube channel. So again, by liking, sharing, commenting, all of that really, really helps in not only growing my Stampin' Up! Business, but then it also helps me in growing this channel as well. So every little bit does help. And speaking of the holiday mini catalog, I did order some catalogs. I do have some here. If you're here in the United States and if you're not working with another demonstrator and you would like a copy of that catalog, in the description there is my email address. Simply send me an email with your full name and mailing address. Let me know, is it just the holiday mini catalog that you want, or maybe you would like the annual catalog as well? I do have some of those here as well. Then, once I get that, I will get that mailed out to you. Also, I do have a mailing list that I do a newsletter. Typically, my newsletters do go out just once a month near the beginning. In my newsletters, I do have the video schedule of all the different product that I'm going to be using. I do, again, Throwback Thursdays every week. I do Friday Night Lives every Friday at 7 p.m. Central. And then, of course, I have a paper pumpkin unboxing, a monthly Christmas card inspiration that I do on the first of every month. So my schedule will be in that newsletter. Also in that newsletter is anything that I'm doing, any promotions, specials, whatever that Stampin' Up! May be doing. Also, was it every month, Stampin' Up! Either comes out with 2 or 3 new kits in their kits collection. So I do show an image and a description and all that of those kits. And then just basically anything else that Stampin' Up! May be offering. All of that's in my newsletter, and I typically only send that out once a month, unless somewhere in the middle of the month, Stampin' Up! Kind of surprises us with, a special or a promotion or something like that, or a sale or whatever it may be. And then that's the only time that I would be sending out another. I don't like to bombard you with emails. Definitely not every day and definitely not every single week, but at least just that one time a month, unless something comes up that, I want to make you aware of. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this episode of Throwback Thursday featuring the Bright Skies bundle. So hope to see you tomorrow evening, and if not, everyone have a wonderful weekend and be blessed. Bye bye.